everybody. This is Dane.
No, this is Baron Samedi, and this is JR.
And we are the Cult Lords. Yes. So this week, in an effort to compete with the Discovery Channel, who will soon be airing Shark Week, the Cult Lords will be airing Zombie Week. Oh, I think zombies are much cooler than sharks, don't you think?
I would say so.
Yeah. During this week, we're going to learn all about the history of zombies. Zombies in music, zombies in literature, zombies in games, and more. And we're going to learn what it takes to survive a zombie outbreak, zombie rules, all kinds of things zombies. But before we do that, Dane, what should our zombies be doing for us?
Oh, they should be shambling over to the red button down below and pressing the subscribe button and joining the zombie cult.
Yeah. And you know what? It doesn't take a lot of thought to go and press that button, right?
So no, you could be undead to press that button. You need no intelligence whatsoever.
Subscribe.
Subscribe. More subscriptions.
All right. And make sure to like the videos as well. So.
And we love comments.
Yes.
Zombies are great at grunting and putting comments out there.
Yeah.
But we want definitely your comments and your feedback. We want this conversation to keep going even after you've watched the episode for the first time.
That's right. Well, Dane, to kick off Zombie Week, we should have a beverage.
We should.
What are we going to be drinking for Zombie Week?
So, for this special occasion of the theme Zombie Week, we are drinking one of my favorite beers of all time, Zombie Dust. See the bottles over here as an example. Here's the cans there, and these are the king cans. Kind of hard to find these babies. You really have to hunt. But this is from a brewery out in Munster, Indiana. Started in 1996, called Three Floyds. It's three brothers, last name Floyd. And they came up with this beer in 2010. Very hard to find early on. Now it's much more easy to find. But I still think one of the coolest bottle art labels of all time, with zombie dust and what looks to be a zombie on the cover there. They have this massive festival every year called Dark Lord Day, where they release their hugely syrupy imperial stout that's been soaking in barrels for 14 months. It's a giant metals festival. You have to buy tickets for it. All-day event. People are like passed out but having a great time. We got to go last year. We'll put a couple of pictures up of just how crazy it looks. But lots of fun, great beer. This is a 6.2 alcohol percent, and it also has...
It's a little higher than normal.
Well, I mean, a session beer is considered more like 3 or 4. So
right.
Your like Millers or your Buds are going to be down there. So this is a little bit. You get your Imperial Stouts are up in the 13 to 14.
Ooh, wow.
So this is more in the middle of the road. When I drink this beer, I think they call it Zombie Dust. I think they did it for a reason, because there's something effervescent about this beer, and I can't ever figure out what it is, but there's just something odd about it.
Brains.
But yes, it's got brains mixed into it, but.
I just wanted to say, so this episode, we're going to be talking about the history of zombies. And I want to commend Dane, who has taken time to travel abroad to study in the hidden Library of the Dead in the French catacombs to put together this show.
I had to sit with a lot of these guys.
Yes.
To figure out what was going to be put in here.
Yes, so he went to the secret archives within the Library of the Dead, and he's done his research. So, Dane, impart to us some of the wisdom you brought back from France.
Well, as you mentioned, with what we're going to be covering here, we always thought, in order to be best prepared for the zombie apocalypse, the Cult Lords want you to know, especially members of our cult, want to know all aspects of the zombie culture, history, as you mentioned, film, book, all that, so that you're best prepared to survive the apocalypse. So, first, we're going to talk about what is a zombie.
Yes.
Full definition: mythological, undead, corporal revenant, created through the reanimation of a corpse in some undead, flesh-eating, decaying body. The term zombie comes from Haitian folklore, in which a zombie is a dead body reanimated through magic like voodoo. This beer is really animating me.
Voodoo.
However, modern versions, which we've all seen lately in the last 10, 15 years, of the dead don't usually involve magic, but rather science-based methods such as carriers, radiation, meteorites, pathogens, parasites, scientific accidents. But did you know there are other versions of the undead?
Yeah.
How does a zombie, for instance, differ from a lich or a revenant?
A lich or a revenant? Well, being a D&D player in my past, I don't know what a revenant is, to be honest with you.
Oh, we'll go into that.
A lich.
Revenants. We'll get to your lich definition. How about that?
A lich is usually like I always thought like a reanimated person, but more in a spiritual form rather than sometimes it is a physical form. And it's usually like in Dungeons and Dragons, they were always like leaders and stuff with weapons, like a sword or something like that. I'll show you the classic picture right now from the Fiend Folio, which I still have in my library, of what the Dungeons and Dragons lich looked like.
Right.
But I don't know. I don't know if that's the definition you're looking for.
Well, Lord Damien.
Yes.
We have a prime definition of a lich, and here he is right now. But Skeletor is sadly not happy with your definition.
Oh, okay.
Any D&D player worth their weight in platinum, Lord Damien, should know this answer. A lich is a brilliant sorcerer or necromancer who, through their magical powers, place their energy of life in what is called a phylactery. As long as that item is not destroyed, they can become a living cadaver, continuing to acquire more and more knowledge until no one can stop their evil. And liches love to create armies of the dead skeletons.
Well, you know what?
So give me some examples off of that definition.
So, what's interesting is in playing the game Ultima Online, there was a cave that was full of like liches, and they always dropped great loot. That you would go, you would slay these things, but they also as they would, you had to kill them fast, because as you were killing them, if you weren't killing them fast, there would always be one in the corner that would be raising more liches. You know what I mean, like with their magic.
Right.
So that was.
And so to that point, who raises the dead? What classic show have we had where the dead can be raised up from a bad guy, from an evil lich?
Game of Thrones, the White King,
the White Walkers.
The White Walkers, yeah.
Those guys are actually liches.
The episode that you want to watch is called Hard Home, when you see Jon Snow, they're all rushing to get on the boats, and then they finally get on the boats, but all the dead are laying there, and the White Walker King, he walks out onto the dock, he looks at him, and he just goes.
And everyone starts shaking and coming up, and yeah, so he's a classic definition of a lich. As I mentioned, Skeletor, ironically.
Yeah.
He's never called that on the show, but based on the definition, he is actually a lich. And then who else has saved their soul in different types of phylacteries?
I don't even know the word phylacteries. I'm sorry.
Also known as Horcruxes.
Horcruxes. I don't know. Oh wait, Horcruxes.
Baron Samedi is not happy here.
Horcruxes. That's sounding Harry Potter-ish.
It is.
Okay.
Begins with a V.
Voldemort.
Voldemort
he would be a lich?
Version of a lich, yeah.
Interesting.
But he's not obviously old enough that they kind of show him a little bit, but he's he's stored his soul in different types of phylacteries.
Right.
On that show, it's called Horcruxes, but he is a version of a lich also.
Interesting.
So then we also have with revenants, by the way, going back to that one, it's the word's been around since the Middle Ages. It's a French word that means risen, but it's interchanged with ghost at that time, but the ghost has a corporal body. Early versions in Norse mythology were called draugrs, which literally means again walker. Does that sound familiar? Again walker? Walks after death?
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody might have gotten influenced by that particular thing.
Yeah.
Unlike zombies, the revenant, however, is intelligent. May even talk, can open doors, or use, as they say in the biz, melee weapons.
Melee weapons. Hand-to-hand
Which
weapons.
would you like to describe? Yes, hand-to-hand. Pitchforks.
Yeah.
Because zombies, actually, that's one thing we've never seen is a zombie pick something up and go after somebody with it. They're usually kept at the lower intelligent level of the scale.
Right. Yeah,
So-
definitely not in movies, can I remember. I think in some video games I've seen that.
Right, but so revenants actually are kind of between zombies and ghosts.
What would the Grim Reaper, would he be something? Do you think he'd be in this
He
classification?
doesn't, because he's his own guy.
He takes the dead.
So he could be a revenant because the difference with the revenants is between a zombie and a spirit-based ghost, but revenants always, in essence, reanimate their own bodies.
Okay.
So there was some horror movie where there was I forgot what the name of it was, where there was a young girl. It's something in the recent years where she was like as a ghost, and then at the very end of the movie, the bad guy was like floating underwater where she had been drowned, and then her body like goes up and she reanimates her body and like scares him, and then he ends up drowning because she grabs him. In that particular case, she was early on a ghost the whole time. Then she reanimated her dead body in the water and then grabbed him under the water. So, as we get back to our definition, zombie dust. So what do you think this guy looks like? He's got a crown in this particular picture over here. If I pull the bottle out,
He would look
he's
like
got a sword, he's got armor on.
A Lich King.
He is a Lich King. He is not a zombie! 3 Floyds! You used the label wrong, but I will give you kudos for the best looking label of all time and a great beer. So, but he is a Lich King, not a zombie. And one of the things that is very interesting about zombies, revenants, and all this kind of stuff, it's amazing how many different versions there are. So there is if you're really interested in the zombie culture, comic artist Jason Thompson has created a map of zombies, and it looks like this old world medical map. There's 350 different types of zombies.
Oh my gosh.
On this map, and he keeps updating it.
Oh my gosh.
We'll put a flash a picture up here, but it's really cool looking. It started as a Kickstarter campaign, but you can go there and look it up. And if you want to get your own map on your wall of every single zombie, it's just take a look at it. It's really cool, and it works great. But we digress as usual, but I did want to get those definitions out of the way. History of zombies. Earliest mention of zombies, Haiti. Zombie folklore in 17th and 18th centuries mentioned it when the country was known as Saint-Dominique and ruled by France. Unfortunately, French people, the rulers back then, this is Louis XIV, the 14th, not very nice to slaves. So they were working them on the sugar plantations. The Oxford English Dictionary says it may derive from the Congo language, word of vumbi, where mvumbi is a ghost, revenant, corpse that retains its soul, or numvumbi, body without a soul. The English word zombie was originally thought to only be first recorded in 1819 in the history of Brazil by poet Robert Southey in the form of zombie without the E at the end. However, some scholars have found earlier references. Linda Troost in the undead 18th century found a reference in 1697 where they were described as spirits or ghosts, but not cannibalistic fiends. Pierre Corneille Blessebois used it in his title Le Zombie de Grand Peru in which a woman is tricked into thinking she's an invisible spirit, a zombie, again without the E. And Linda lists out other references, 1726, 1788, 1799. So 1819 is definitely blown away.
Okay, so been around.
Yep. In the U.S., it first appeared in a newspaper in 1838 with the short story called The Unknown Painter. And this has to do with, there's a famous Esteban Murillo.
Esteban Murillo.
Bartolome Esteban Murillo. He has a famous painting called Adoration of the Magi, where there is two white guys and an African-American looking king. And it's one of those early ones where it was kind of rare to put an African-American in one of those religious pictures. But the story is about a young African slave owned by a Spanish painter named Murillo, claims that a zombie appears in the art studio at night to work on the paintings of Murillo's apprentices. However, no one believes the young slave's assertions and dismisses the existence of the zombie as an African myth. Check it out if you ever want to look at some of these famous paintings. A Portuguese dictionary from 1903 defines the related word nzambi as soul, and then later it becomes a spirit that is supposed to wander the earth to torment the living. But again, we're just looking at, if we just look at mentions of the dead rising and moving around, there are a ton of other references in culture, religions, literature.
So tell me about the person you're supposed to be dressed up as. Baron Samedi?
Yes. Samedi is in French, it means Saturday, but that's, the Haitian culture is highly, especially with the Voodoo religion, highly influenced by French, for obvious reasons, and then also by Catholicism, because when the African slaves were, enslaved in Haiti, the French government imposed the Code Noir, which was this edict about how to control your, slaves and your plantations and everything. And of course, it was extremely cruel. So French missionaries also came in there and tried to impose Catholicism on top of them. So what ended up happening, the French slaves who were using the Voodoo religion, they pretended to acquiesce to the Catholic missionaries and look like they were praying to like different saints and stuff like that from Catholicism, but in fact they were really praying secretly to their own spirits.
Okay.
So, but what ended up happening is because it went on for so long, you see still images of the Catholic saints appearing in the Voodoo religion all the time.
So how does that
now.
bring in Baron Samedi?
So Baron Samedi is one of the spirits. So even though Voodoo is a monotheistic religion, just like everyone believes in God, they have spirits that will intervene for, advise, guide, help, and heal human beings, and Baron Samedi is one of those spirits. Now,
so whenever you see Baron Samedi, he's always in the kind of the top hat, usually has some bone,
yes,
bone or teeth around it.
Feathers.
He's got he's like sometimes in white face with black eyes, right? To look like a skeleton.
He basically looks very much like this gentleman.
And I see you went kind of overboard on the white paint.
Yes, well, sorry.
Oh, wait.
I don't have any white.
That's not white paint. Okay, that's just you. Okay.
That's just white me.
That's just you. Okay.
White guy. White boy.
All right.
Yes, I don't have that nice autumnal darkness that you do. But yes, my white skull painting. But he is like this. If I had a top hat, I'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Because he's often he's always, what's the word I'm looking for? He's always depicted as what would be typically a Haitian funeral person in a coffin.
Yeah.
So he's got a top hat, he's got a formal coat on, he's got very dark glasses or a skull. Usually there's some feathers or some skeleton around, a little hint of like jewelry and things like that. But
we saw that
basically
in a James Bond movie, right?
We did, but he is the spirit that ensures all corpses rot in the ground to stop them from coming back as zombies. But he is also noted for debauchery, disruption, having a particular fondness for tobacco and rum. But he is also the spirit of resurrection. And
you know what? I've seen him in a lot of pictures smoking a cigar. And sometimes they show him like in, kind of having skin. But sometimes they show him as a skull. And it looks very much like the Cult Lords logo. Our very own.
It does.
Chauncey.
Holy cow.
So.
Chauncey, we had no idea he was Baron Samedi, did we?
Exactly, right?
He's more of a hipster Baron
He's
Samedi.
a hipster Baron Samedi. So, all right.
But in the Haitian culture, it's been abused.
Right.
I mean, the Voodoo religion is actually much more based on peace. It's forbidden to kill anybody. Zombification is actually a form of capital punishment in the sense that if somebody has committed such a horrible crime, we're not allowed to kill you, so no, we're going to do the next best thing. We're going to turn you into a zombie. So it actually is looked at more as a protector of the community rather than a terrorizer of the community in the actual religion. So, we see this all the time depicted in different movies where zombification is done to punish people or make money off it, to profit. And there are people that do that. But classic example is Wade Davis had done his book called The Serpent and the Rainbow, which later a movie. And there is a secret society that is kind of set up to self-police the area, where they basically are punishing good people that aren't going along with what they think is the right way to live. They're called the Bazanga. And
Bazinga!
I know it's very close to Bazinga, but it's Bazanga. And they're using zombification as a punishment for people, but they're judge, jury, executioner type scenario. So that's a very interesting thing. We've always, growing up in the American culture, you see zombie as a bad thing, but in the sense that
voodoo is a bad thing.
Evil people doing stuff, but it really was supposed to be a tool to correct bad behavior in the community, and it's been corrupted into the other way. But and in fact, the worst part of it is Papa Doc, that Haitian dictator.
Papa Doc Duvalier?
Yes, Duvalier. He actually cultivated a kind of a zombie Bokor. Bokor is the witch doctor name in the Voodoo religion, who creates zombies, or can create zombies, I should say. And he cultivated this cult of personality where he basically put the fear of zombification on anybody, and he had these. The New York Times had done a piece on his henchmen called the Tonton Macoutes, ironically, the Tonton Macoutes, and behaved with complete.
And I thought they smelled bad from the outside.
Steady, girl. Hey, what's the matter?
But
behave with the complete immortality and obedience of the undead, and were sometimes assumed to be zombies under the dictator's control. So you've got those kind of examples. As I mentioned about, a lot of times we think of zombies as physical shambling corpses. Well, actually, that's all we think about. But in the zombie voodoo religion, there's a zombie astral, which is where they capture a piece of your soul. They could, or your, spirits. So they'll have like spirits in like fancy little bottles that they'll sell to people for good luck. Or
so this is all with
dealings.
voodoo.